Dos Spookquenos is a proud member of
the Barelas Podcasters Guild.
The Oracle Network.
This is Dos Spookquenos,
a funnier look at the paranormal in New Mexico.
with your co-ghosts, Eric Carter Landine.
and Alex.
What's up, Alex?
Hey, Eric.
Don't be all salty, man. Alex is giving me evil eyes. You've got to be on your best behavior. We've got a special guest
We
in the
do
house.
have a special guest today.
Before we get into introducing our special guest, let's go through our housekeeping stuff.
Please.
We
Don't forget our OnlyFans.
don't forget our OnlyFans, where you can watch your nonstop ghost porn and read the erotic ghost fan fiction that we have. It's all terrible. It sounds
Do we
like
really need to do this?
I think so. We might make more money than we do on Patreon.
And then we'll just throw in like a nipple shot every once in a while of one of us.
We have like 2 patrons right now, so
That's the only people that... Sorry, guys.
You got 3 now.
oh fuck yeah. So patreon.com/Dos Spookquenos. Buy us a coffee at ko-fi/Dos Spookquenos. Go to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and slide up in our DMs. You can be as creepy as you want, according to Alex.
That's what we're about.
Yeah. Well, and it seems like
it's what we do.
it seems like this season has been extremely sexual. Probably my fault.
It's absolutely your fault. You can't even pin that on me, man.
So we're gonna have to come up with a sexual name for this episode too, because we have to go in the theme. Like, this is season 2.
Well, I got it already.
You do?
I know what it is.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect. Is it anal probes?
pretty much. Get in, loser.
So we have a special guest visiting us today. It's somebody that Alex and I know. We've worked with this person before in the past, except you worked closer with him because you guys were in the same department.
That was my boss.
I was in the dark side.
Still am.
No.
So we have a local celebrity chef, Mr. Mike Perseo. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Great to be here.
We're not there yet.
Beautiful. We'll get there, though. We'll get there. No, it's really cool to be here. Been looking forward to it. Just sit down and talk with you guys. Nice studio. Nice to see this gentleman outside giving himself a vaccine outside.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, right there in the parking lot. So it's great to see that people are self-caring and care about others. So.
Welcome to Albuquerque,
Beautiful.
downtown Albuquerque.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Was that under the bridge?
Yeah. You know.
He's vaccinating himself there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure he doesn't feel any pain. So.
Yeah.
Oh, he looked very happy that he was safe.
So I haven't seen you, man, in like, gosh, it must be almost 20 years now.
Yeah, probably.
Crap, has it been that long? I like ran into you
I
like
have a matching
random as fuck.
Haircut with you.
Oh,
now.
you guys
Nice.
do?
Nice. And it's nice to see that it's not by choice either.
It's not. Nope. It's a.
That's not by choice?
No, dude.
No? Oh.
I have
thought
like,
you were doing that
I have
to
like
look
the
cool.
wraparound, like UFO hair situation
Like a
happening.
monk?
Yeah, I have that happening. What are you gonna do?
I wish you did have monk hair. It's so bad, dude.
I kind of want to do a skullet. Like, I feel like
Yes.
that would be pretty rad. But then I have to wear like aviator glasses and really tight jeans on top of it.
Leggings.
Jeggings.
Jeggings. They're not pants.
So we are super happy to have you here, Mike.
Yeah,
and,
man.
And if you guys listen to this episode, I'm not sure when the great episode will drop, but Mike will be on a great episode as well. Super, super happy to have you. We are going to be talking about some crazy ass shit today, like usual.
Mm-hmm.
But we're probably going to not do it justice, like usual.
Like usual. It'll still be the shit show you came to love.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So we're talking about alien abductions.
Yeah. Alien abduction.
And when we looked at this, we were hoping there would be a lot more information about New Mexico.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's not that much. There's alien sightings.
A lot of sightings.
A lot of UFO sightings in New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess we weren't looking in the right towns. Like, we probably should have went to Belen. We probably should have went to Hobbs. You know? Like, just start talking to people in the trailer parks. I'm sure we would have found some alien abduction stories there.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Alex is acting like I'm being insensitive or something.
at least some kind of abductions. I don't know if they're alien abductions.
Oh, shit. There's abductions are happening.
I mean, I'm sure Farmington has some stories.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
right. I mean, all over. You would think.
Well-
I thought I was going to find way more stories about it.
Well, one
And-
guy I definitely want to talk about and touch on it. It's pretty close. You know, it's Snowflake, Arizona. So that's
close.
yeah. We'll call it local.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're kind of desert Southwest. We're branching out this season. It feels like we're doing more broad stuff, and we might eventually just become just a general paranormal story.
Worldwide.
Yeah. Because eventually, I think we might run out of stuff. I'm never going to run out of
Paranormal shit is everywhere. So why?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, I'm never going to run out of true crime in New Mexico. Like that is going to be the fountain that never stops giving.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, but I think paranormal is going to hit the end at some point. So, anyway, before we get into that, Alex, do you want to tell us about what alien abduction is?
It's being abducted by aliens.
The end.
Ha.
Episode's over.
There you go, guys.
Good night,
all right. So make sure to get on our OnlyFans and subscribe. There's 5 different tiers.
Oh, fuck.
Sorry.
I'm dead.
Do
Do you want me to talk about this? Do you want me to do this?
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
So, all right, alien abduction has been called a bunch of different things. It's been very popular for a long time, especially in our childhoods. I think that's when it was really a big thing. I know Alex and I have talked about how we used to spend a lot of time in the libraries gravitating towards different paranormal books, mafia bosses, all kinds of weird
Mafia
shit. That's what I
bosses?
read.
Yeah.
I read about Al Capone and all kinds of crazy shit.
Al Capone
Yeah,
was
yeah.
a big deal, man.
Yeah. The Bermuda Triangle, but alien abductions were always something. And then I think growing up in the 90s with shows like Jenny Jones and Ricky Lake and all
Mork
those
and Mindy.
yeah. Where you have all these people that are, even Jerry Springer, you probably had some alien abduction episodes in those. Phil Donahue, I'm sure, had some of those as well, along with their satanic panic episodes and everything else that they had.
Great show.
Totally.
show.
What, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That was in the 80s as well, right?
What was that creepy ass movie with the old people where they like went in the pool and Cocoon?
Cocoon.
They're all like banging and shit.
Steve Guttenberg at his at his finest, man. I don't know, one of Steve Guttenberg's
Fucking
finest movies.
What the fuck happened to Gutenberg?
I saw Steve Guttenberg on Holy Moly, which is like a miniature golfing show. He was like a judge on it.
That's amazing, and that's exactly what I would expect.
Yeah, 3 men and a baby straight to miniature golf.
That was a really weird digression. I'm going to come back to abductions. So it's also known as alien abduction syndrome, UFO abduction. It's definitely something that it's like a subjective experience. The people that have it, they have all these crazy thoughts about it. They believe all these things happen to them. There's not a lot of evidence to back up any of what they're saying, but some of the things that people have said about it is that these people have real trauma that they experience from this alleged abduction. So they have PTSD and all these other things related to it, which says a lot about the strength of the mind, I think. All right, so a lot of the claims involve things that people always laugh about, like forced medical examinations, anal probes.
Dig into that ass. I really don't understand that whole thing.
You don't?
No, why would aliens, you know what? I got this human being, I really want to check him out. Let's go up his ass. Like, I figured there's so many other ways to figure something out.
It's the quickest point from point A to point B. Come on.
A lot of these abductees will claim that they've been warned about catastrophes. They've been warned about things like nuclear weapons or environmental impact and all this stuff. Like they've been given this great benefic warning.
Ooh, benefic.
From a beyond the stars, and so they have to come back and tell the rest of humanity their stories so that humanity can change their ways.
I wonder if that's how Nostradamus got his information.
Ooh, maybe. Or he was doing like mushrooms or something.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, they all were.
Yeah. For sure.
For sure.
We could do a whole other podcast on that, but I truly believe that's how humans evolved by
The stoned monkey theory?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I don't know if I believe it, but
Could be.
it could be.
Could be a thing.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yep. That's my answer to everything. Maybe.
There you go.
So
and,
maybe.
and that's the thing is we
Maybe.
that we
I don't
always
know
say
shit
that.
about
we
fuck,
don't
maybe.
know.
I don't know shit about fuck.
Yeah, I don't know shit about the.
So reports of this phenomenon have been made all around the world, mostly common in English-speaking countries.
Yeah.
So, especially the U.S. because a bunch of fucking crazy people here.
Maybe aliens only speak English, and they don't want to have to take the time to figure out another language.
So UFO abduction claims have declined since their initial surge in the 70s, and it was really popular in the 70s and 80s, and then it seems like it's just kind of gone down a little bit.
Right.
And now it's just kind of a thing that people make fun of.
Well, no, I feel like it's coming back full force.
You do?
Yeah, I just read something that the former FBI defense secretary was teasing about coming out with some crazy UFO news here very soon.
Really?
Yeah. And more and more people in the government are starting to come out, discussing it, saying that yes, we are, we have checked out, alien technologies before. Kind of like Bob Lazar and his stories are starting to sound a little bit more legit.
No, they are, and there is a little snippet in the COVID relief bill that was passed. I don't know, what was it, November?
Yeah.
That
they had 90 days or something.
They had I think 120 days. That's coming up here soon.
Yeah.
So
we may find out some crazy news very soon. Which
buckle up. Let's get ready. I think there's reason why the government would withhold information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand why they would. They
most people wouldn't be able to handle it, man.
Well, there's that. Look, shit, they can't even handle a virus. How are they going to handle another life form that they don't know anything about? So,
Cue Destiny's Child. I don't think you can handle this.
I have no clue.
I don't think you're ready for this jelly, Perseo.
I don't think you're ready for this.
Sure. Yeah. No, there's that. There's there's other countries that if there is this technology that we may possess, that they want to first be greedy and keep it to themselves and study a little bit more, and
they want to patent it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They want to patent it first.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes out, and maybe we'll have to do a follow-up show and just talk about that shit.
I think this is going to be one of those continuing topics,
Mm-hmm.
Just like ghosts are. It's just going to be one of those things. But this is legit, maybe. I mean, perhaps, right? Allegedly, this is what's going to be coming out soon.
Part of me thinks that what's going to happen is it's going to be like a way to explain it away, just kind of like they did with Roswell, where they were like, oh, it was this test we were doing because of the Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever the fuck war it was, where they were sending
it's just a weather balloon with
balloons
flower
up
tape
into space. So part of me, I just don't trust that they're going to be 100% forthcoming, and I don't.
Do you not trust the government?
They don't lie to us.
They
Alex.
do not lie to us.
I think it's going to be more than that. I think there's some solid information, especially with the incident over I forget what aircraft carrier. I think it was the U.S. Nimitz.
Yeah.
That Tic Tac, and
oh yeah,
that's a whole other conversation. But there's, when you have a commander, I think Fravor, I think his name is, in his story, and very little holes in that, and he could explain the science behind what they saw, and show that we do not possess that kind of technology.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. So before it was called alien abductions, it was known as paleo abductions, and that was in the 60s. And then in 1896, this dude named Colonel H.G. Shaw claimed that he and a friend were harassed by 3 tall and slender humanoid-looking individuals. Their bodies were covered in fine, downy hair.
So soft.
And
they tried to kidnap them.
They just cuddled all evening with their downy, soft hair.
Yeah, but
clown. But I mean, that would be amazing if that's what aliens look like. You know what I mean? Yeah, get over here, buddy.
just cuddle them for a little bit.
Get over here.
So definitely the 50s were the heyday of flying saucers and UFOs, and we saw that in the late 40s in Roswell, and then it kind of went crazy and blew up. So it makes sense that that's when we start seeing more and more incidents of people claiming to have been abducted.
Mm-hmm. So were really like two landmark big cases that were, well, not just two. There was many, but we're going to talk about a few of those. Okay, Perseo, I know that you did some research on a certain case. Why don't you let us know about that?
Yeah. I think most people or a lot of people are familiar with the movie Fire in the Sky.
Some people are.
Yeah, and it's shit when it came out like 90s maybe. Yeah, the movie, I think it came out maybe early 90s, Fire in the Sky, and it's based on Travis Walton and his story. And
I need to rewatch that
yeah,
movie.
Yeah, I watched it years ago, and then I watched it again recently, a couple months. So, when you told me you were talking about some alien abductions, it's fresh in my mind, and I watched a couple documentaries.
We should do a
watch party.
Yeah.
The elusive watch party that we never have, we keep talking about, teasing everybody with. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so, immediately after watching it again, I started scrolling and found a couple documentaries, and very compelling story, and I don't really see any holes in it.
It's one of the stories that I feel like I believe the most. It just sounds the most credible. It really does.
It does, and especially after watching the interviews with Travis himself and some of his crew members. So we back up and kind of start with the story. So Travis and his crew, I don't know, in their early 20s, they were doing some logging work in the Arizona desert, right out of Snowflake, Arizona, not too far from here.
North? Where's
it's in the White Mountains, so it's
Gosh, I almost feel like I've driven through
yeah,
there
it's
before.
by
It's like Kingsman, like kind of area where it's
quite.
all super tree.
Not quite. Yeah. It's and the White Mountains are they're huge. It covers a lot of acres. It covers a lot of unexplored land because it's just it's pretty massive, and it's a huge forest. So Travis, he was leading this crew. They were out there with some contract work to clear out trees for forest preservation and wildfire prevention. So they're out
like
there.
deadwood and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
So they're out there. They're finishing up pretty late. They had a late night. They're kind of running behind on their contract, and there's a lot of controversy over that. And I'll touch on that a little bit later. But they're running late, so they're working late. They're pack up all their shit, headed back to camp or home because I think they live close. And it's like right after dusk, so it's a little dark. And so off in the distance, they see this bright light. I think there's like 4 or 5 of them in the truck, and they're like, yeah. It looks like a wildfire. It looks like maybe headlights coming up the other side of the mountain. And as they get closer, it looks a little more strange. So they get pretty close to it, and they feel a vibration throughout the vehicle.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it gave me
I probably would have stopped at that point right there. I'd be like, all right.
It gave me a little bit of chills because they said not only could you feel it, but you could feel it like inside you.
Right.
Wow.
Like almost like magnetic energy or something.
Yeah.
Like a I don't know. Yeah.
So they did stop. Travis gets out. He's curious. He starts going towards it. Wants to see what it is. Gets a little close. Once he sees, and they all have the same story, which is pretty interesting because that's kind of hard, especially that many years removed, that they could still recite the same story and pass polygraph test twice. Every single one of those. So that's
compelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Travis freaks out a little bit, kind of gets down on his knees or starts to, and as he gets closer, he's lifted off the ground. Big scene in the movie, very dramatic. He's lifted off the ground, pauses there, I don't know, like 20 feet or so, pauses there for a little bit, and then drops to the ground.
Oh shit!
Drops to the ground. His crew freaks out. They get in the truck and they bolt.
They left his ass?
They bolt. They get a couple miles down. They're like, okay, we need to circle back. And
thanks, guys.
Yeah,
you
we need to circle back, see if
dicks.
he's alive.
Bags.
Yeah. Yep.
At least they were nice enough to be like, you know what, maybe we should go get our friend.
Yeah, friends like that, you don't need enemies.
For real.
So the crew circles back, and Travis is gone. He's nowhere to be found. He's gone. They freak out. They report it, and huge controversy from there. Skip ahead a little bit. I think it was like 5 days later, Travis gives one of his buddies a call on the phone. His voice was shaking, freaking out.
Whoa.
You need to pick me up in no, this isn't you. So he convinces them that it is. They pick up Travis. They find him naked, that just on the road, and
Butt naked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and scared. Definitely has some PTSD going on there. Yeah, he's a little shocked.
So I mean, what does he remember anything that had went on within the craft itself? I mean, because that's apparently where he went, right?
Yeah, and it took, and I'm saying this like it's true.
Okay.
This is his story, not mine. Who knows? So yeah, after they take him, he's scared. He's like constantly cowering in the corners. So of course he's taken for some medical attention and some psychiatric attention. He's in full shock. He's flipping out. So after he kind of recovers from that, they did some regression work with him to work through that and get back to
when you say regression work, you mean like hypnosis?
Yep.
To kind of like hypnotherapy to pull those memories from the recesses of our mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
Either that or put a story in your head. Who knows?
Put a story in your head.
Could be.
Yeah, that's a
Very
potential
well could be.
thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then you end up believing it. So
I think that's one of the hardest things about this entire thing is how do you prove it? Unless there's like some kind of video evidence, and that can be so faked nowadays, you can't even trust that anymore. So, and I mean, it's kind of one of those situations, kind of how I feel with ghosts. And I'll tell. Actually, you know what? I'll talk more about this later.
Okay.
Let's discuss some more of the cases.
Okay. Can I tell you about Antonio? Are you done? Do you have more?
You have more?
Go. I'll go. Carry on.
No, do you have more though?
About the story?
Yeah.
What I found compelling is I didn't really find a whole lot of holes in the story other than what we just kind of talked about with that regression therapy.
Yeah.
Whether it was he started believing the story that was fed to him or he started creating. But when you have 5 or 6 guys that pass a polygraph twice and years down the road that story stays the same, and I found it interesting. Don't know what to think of it. I find it interesting for sure. That what Travis said was when he felt that they took him up on the ship, he was gone for 5 days. He felt like he only remembered like an hour of it.
Right.
Because he was damaged from the radiation from the craft, and they felt responsible to take care of him, take him up, get him healed, and then drop his naked ass off on the road.
They could put his clothes on for him.
It makes me wonder if Snowflake, Arizona is one of those places where you have kind of like the Pecos Triangle, where people are, just because of the idea that he disappeared, he was lifted up off the ground, and then he's dropped off naked days later.
Yeah.
Like, that makes me wonder if it's a similar situation as what we talked about.
Oh, he just survived.
Like he was one of the living ones, but I wonder if there's more cases in this area, like in that radius or whatever,
from all the people that have disappeared.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to look into that.
Another thing that's interesting about that area, they did some studies on the trees around there in the forest, and they show kind of some irregular ring patterns. They show like the trees grew exponentially fast in that area that the supposed craft was.
Weird.
Yeah, so trees grew very fast, and then so they started looking into it and started looking at the rings, and they grew kind of oblong in the direction of where the craft was. Whoa. So they weren't, round rings, they were oval. And they found similar trees like that in Chernobyl. So there's some kind of connection with radiation there.
What's up, Alex?
Not much, Eric. How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm not doing so great.
Why?
Because I think I have ghosts in my blood.
You have ghosts in your blood?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure my blood is haunted.
Okay. What would you do to know for sure?
Well, I think I need to get some tests done.
Okay. Well, where is there a place that you could go to get your blood tested for ghosts?
I think so. Well, maybe not for ghosts, but maybe for some illnesses. Yeah. One of the things that I freaking hate.
Okay.
One of the things that I hate is, having to call my doctor and for them to tell me, oh, your next appointment's going to be in April of 2026. Has that ever happened to you?
Constantly.
It's like every day.
Every day.
Every day. Well, I've got good news for you.
Okay.
There is a better way to do this.
Mm.
There's a company called Southwest Labs, and they can do all kinds of crazy testing on you to make sure that you don't have ghosts in your blood, make sure there's no poltergeists hanging out in your heart. They can check for STDs. They can check for COVID.
Okay.
You can get a COVID test there, and you don't have to schedule an appointment.
Yeah.
You can just walk in.
Do they do the testing like the way aliens do?
Yes.
Fantastic.
No, they don't.
Oh.
Sorry. but it is technologically advanced.
Fantastic.
So you'll get your results from a licensed doctor. They can do that via Zoom or some kind of other telemedicine. You don't have to even go into a doctor's office to get your results.
That's fantastic. How do I get in touch with them?
All you have to do is go to southwestlab.com or follow them on social media at Southwest Lab. That's a nice segue into this next story, and I really want to tell this one, and then, Alex, if you don't mind, and then you can do the next one.
No, go for it.
Because this one is weird, and I don't necessarily believe this guy, but there's some interesting connections to what you said. In the mid-1950s, there was a Brazilian guy named Antonio Villas-Boas. He really didn't get much attention internationally until years later, but this case is kind of interesting. So in Venezuela, in the early 50s, there were these two boys that had found a UFO, allegedly. And so there was this lawyer who investigated it, and he put an ad in the paper in Brazil that said, hey, if you've ever had any kind of experience like this, like, reach out to me, right? So this farmer, Antonio, shows up, and he's like, hey, bro, I saw some shit happened to me. So they flew him out from the farming village that he lived in into Rio de Janeiro, put him up in a hotel, and like this lawyer like took care of him while he was interviewing him. So here's what he said. He said that on October 16th, 1957, he was out working his family's field when he saw a red glowing orb descending towards him. It landed in the field, and as it landed, 3 legs dropped down to support the craft. And he freaked the fuck out and tried to run away. But he was apprehended by 3 beings that were 5 foot tall, wearing gray overalls and helmets.
Were they furry and soft? Dowdy soft?
He did not say that.
Bet they were.
So they had helmets.
He also claims that he was taken on the craft and stripped naked, and that blood was drained from his chin.
Because that's the best place to get blood.
He said that the beings were communicating with animal sounds, which I don't know what that means. Like, did they sound like pigs? And then this female creature with a fire bush and blonde hair.
I know her.
She came in naked, and they totally banged.
No way.
Yeah.
How appropriate.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Now you see why I wanted to do this one.
Yeah.
I still don't see the connection.
We're getting there. So after they finished banging, he said that she pointed at her belly and then up at the sky.
Wait. This is serious? He said he banged her.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
Carry on.
They totally
Carry
banged.
on.
They totally banged.
You got me hooked.
He's living that
Keep going.
Captain Kirk life, man.
Yeah. So he said that after they banged, she pointed at her stomach and then she pointed at the sky, and he took that to mean that she was going to take their baby and raise it in space. Okay.
Of course.
Nobody fucking believed this guy. They were like, whatever.
Weird.
Whatever, dude. But here's the connection, all right? So he was looked at by a physician, and it was determined that he was suffering from radiation poisoning.
Oh, weird. Okay, he was from where again?
Some farming village in Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he could have been exposed to it, perhaps. Or maybe that alien fire bush was just radioactive.
He's just banging a nuclear plant.
Yeah.
In Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, he didn't know. He's been drinking.
That's common in human females too. So let's not.
He's been drinking the nuclear runoff water for like years.
He's like banging the cooling tower.
Yeah.
My testicles are huge.
What's wrong?
I don't know what's happening.
All my hair and teeth are falling out.
That's so fucking stupid. I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
Should I talk about Betty and Barney Hill?
Please do.
Okay, well, there's this case in 1961, Betty and Barney Hill, right? It sounds like straight up a TV show, doesn't it?
Yeah, the hills.
Betty and Barney
Hills
Hill.
have eyes.
So the Hill incident, okay, this was found out. Okay, so I tried to find as many cases as I could that were on, like, at least the West Coast, Southwest. This one's not. This one's straight up on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't it Massachusetts?
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire,
Same
yeah.
thing.
So the couple had gone on a trip to Niagara Falls on their honeymoon. So on their way back from their trip, they had noticed some lights in the sky. And they had stopped and pulled over and got out some binoculars and just kind of gazed at it for a while. And apparently they could see some little gray beings in the lights area. I don't know if they could actually see the ship itself, but they said they saw the lights and they could see little gray men, okay? They heard a lot of beeping noises, and then they noped the fuck out of there, and they got really sleepy, okay? 2 hours later, they had woken up. They were passed out about 35 miles down the road from where they had actually fallen asleep or like kind of passed out of the whole area. Apparently, they had like kind of repressed everything and sought PTSD help from a hypnotherapist. These two cases are sometimes viewed as earliest abductions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that they're definitely older cases that really what people have said in the general sense of discussing this is that these two cases specifically have really created the narrative for all future cases.
Right.
And like all future cases kind of follow in the similar
Right.
pattern as
Yeah.
these two cases.
They're models.
Yeah. So again, for me, as the person who wants to believe in things, I'm really skeptical about all of this just because of especially because of this.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of attention whores that would go this far to create some attention in their life or
Why'd you look at me when you said that?
Because fucking duh.
Yeah, my head drastically turned to you and attention whores. Yeah,
Well, listen, it was also the time, of War of the Worlds, where people were scared to death of these things. And what was the attack on L.A.? Do you remember that? Where apparently, look it up real quick. Look it up. The attack on L.A. God, the battle for L.A. Not the Rage Against the Machine album or anything, but
Battle of Los Angeles?
Yeah.
The air raid.
The air raid where they had all these. They
It was
basically
Japan-
saw something.
It was Japanese, yeah.
They thought it was like something attacking them, and then they realized that it wasn't aircraft that we normally saw, and they started blasting. I mean, they were like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like blasting at whatever it was in the sky.
Well, that was right after Pearl Harbor, so everyone was a little bit paranoid.
Well, everyone was a little on their on edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another great story is the Phoenix lights.
Yeah.
Where a massive amount of people saw the same thing.
But that was kind of
including the mayor that debunked it at
yeah,
first.
that was debunked.
And
though.
then after the fact, after he's out of office, he's like, "Yeah, I saw him."
Yeah,
So-
but that guy was kind of shady, man.
Well, he's a politician, of
yeah,
course.
I
Come on.
don't trust them fuckers, man. I don't trust them.
General motivations people are talking about is medical experimentation and warnings of
Should we talk about like who, or like what, where,
Or
who,
they're
what-
just
what-
they're just curious.
Yeah, the
They're
people.
like, we can get there. What are these
monkeys.
assholes doing? And what's also interesting is there's a shit ton of sightings that happen after the Manhattan Project, and we started fucking around with nukes.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of coincides. Hey, these fucking idiots down there are playing with fire. We need to make sure that they
Chill out.
kind of keep us in check, and shove a probe up our ass just to keep us in check.
I love all the different kind of aliens that they're saying. I mean, we've already.
I
heard
really
one-
like the ones that
the
are
fuzzy,
downy soft.
the fuzzy
Yeah.
ones.
Fuck the grays.
Give me
the-
and then
give me
there's
the
the
downy.
grays. They're like the really tall, the ones that you typically think of now.
There's the fire crotch.
Yeah, if
My
you go
favorite.
to Roswell, you know what I mean. The grays are the ones that are like the typical, the
Skinny,
super
long
tall, skinny,
arms.
big
Yeah.
heads, big
Yeah.
eyes, like to stick things in your
In your
body.
butthole.
Yeah.
in the butthole.
And then there are fuzzy ones, and there's one that wear helmets, and there's ones that'll fuck you and with fire crotch.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
Yeah.
take the baby up and raise it.
ginger aliens.
So I want to talk about local-ish abduction or sightings. So I want to do this one, and then hopefully you'll do the next one, because this one I have ties to, obviously, because it's from Socorro.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
But even more ties because my first cousin was his like great
Shut
nephew.
up.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Oh, awesome.
And their family does not like to talk about this.
No, I was going to say we should have gotten them on the show.
I tried a long time ago. They don't want to talk about it. It created this whole stigma on them in the town.
Yeah, and I think that's, I thought about it. Why would someone go this far to create a bullshit story, even if they are an attention whore? Yeah, I'm looking at you. Even if they are, why would you go? Because I mean, they are ridiculed. They're put through a lot of shit, and
I think that's what made Bob Lazar so realistic.
Yeah.
Because his life was ruined because of it.
And the same with Travis Walton.
Yeah.
I mean, his life was screwed. I mean, I think he wanted to tell a story. He felt like a responsibility for some reason that he needed to tell the story, is what he's saying, and went through extra efforts to make sure that he wasn't monetized for any of those efforts. So it didn't look like he was out there for the
doing it for the cash. Really?
Yeah.
So I guess Paramount or whoever got all the money from that movie.
Yeah.
He didn't get any of the rights.
I don't know.
Well, I know that there was a story that happened in your little hometown.
Yep.
Tell me about it.
So Lonnie Zamora was a sheriff's deputy in Socorro County. He claims that he saw two people that were beside a shiny object that later went up into the sky and had a giant flame behind it, pushing it into the sky. His claims created all this crazy media buzz. Like it's a thing of legend in Socorro. People talk about it still to this day. His claims that he saw this, people believed him, and I don't think that they had any reason to not believe him, because he was a sheriff's deputy. He had some credibility already built in with his position in the community. But the Air Force apparently said that it was unknown. But there are some claims that it was some kind of lunar landing test that was happening. And White Sands is not too far from Socorro.
Sure.
So that stuff could happen. When I grew up there,
How far is it from Socorro?
a couple hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we not only have White Sands Missile Range, but we also have Emmertech, which is behind the M Mountain. The M Mountain is the mountain in Socorro that it's like.
I think I've heard of Emmertech. Wouldn't they use on Mythbusters or something? Don't they do the rocket propulsion stuff?
Yeah, they do missile testing. So growing up there's always explosions and sonic booms and things like that happening all the time.
Crazy.
You're just used to it because you have White Sands to the south of you, and then you have Emmertech just to the west of you.
And then there's a bunch of pyros that live there too. So
And there's a bunch of
Just
like
houses
meth
blowing
labs
up.
exploding. It's like normal. So this was April 24th, 1964. It was around 5:45 p.m. The dispatcher received a call on the radio from Sergeant Zamora, who had been reporting a potential accident for a motor vehicle. He went to go check the car in the Arroyo, quote unquote, car. And then when he finally described it, he said it looked like a balloon.
Okay.
So that
sounds familiar, doesn't it?
So a state police sergeant met him there, and when the sergeant arrived, he asked Zamora what the trouble was. Zamora led him to a burning bush.
there
we
she
go with
is
the
again.
bush.
There she is. She wanted more of that human cock.
Just can't get enough.
And now on OnlyFans, the burning bush.
Instant subscribers. Watch it in real time.
Perseo subscribing right now.
Done.
He's got his phone out.
The only one, though.
When other police officers arrived, they noted that there was patches of smoldering grass and bush. He told authorities that he had been pursuing a car that was speeding just south of Socorro. He heard the roar of an engine and saw a flame in the sky, possibly a half mile or a mile away. He thought that maybe a local dynamite shack had exploded. There's a lot of mining that happened around there back then too, so that could have been a possibility. He stopped pursuing the car and then instead went towards the explosion, and that's when he saw this shiny object.
I bet that guy in the car he's like,
He's
woo!
like, "Fuck yeah!"
Thank God.
He first thought that the object was an overturned white car that was on its radiator or on its trunk, but he described it as aluminum-like, and it was kind of white against the mesa background, but not chrome. And like I said, he observed two people that were standing next to it, and then it just totally took off.
Did he describe the people at all?
Small adults or large kids.
Soft and cuddly.
Soft and downy. And then he
Sorry,
saw
I'm kind of stuck on that.
he saw a blue and
And the fire bush.
he saw a blue and
yeah.
he saw a blue and orange flame under the object which then again went off into the sky.
Oh shit! So it took off again. It wasn't just maybe. Did the people stay there,
I don't
or did
think
they get
so. I
into
think
the vehicle?
They must have gotten in there, yeah.
Right.
So he was investigated by the government. The U.S. Air Force looked into it. UFOlogists looked into it, and it's claimed to be one of the most credible encounters on record. But a lot of different alternative explanations have been given. Nothing has ever really resolved from it. There's never really been any definite information from White Sands or from anybody else about what that could have been.
Saying it's this or that or whatever.
Yeah, so we don't know. We don't know what it is. But
Well, what did the skeptics say?
one skeptic said that it was most certainly a mirage of the star of Canopus.
Damn that Canopus.
That fucking bitch.
Wait,
I hate her.
a mirage of a star?
That happens all the fucking time.
Dude, I've never witnessed anything. I've never even heard of anything
How,
like
how
that.
does a mirage of a star light bushes and grass
You're
on
right.
fire? So in 1966, the president of the Chamber of Commerce in Socorro proposed creating like a monument to the UFO encounter, but that never happened because Socorro cannot get their shit together. We've had the same mayor for fucking 40 years.
Are you serious?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
Wow.
a problem.
yeah. It is. It is a problem. Sorry, Ravi, but it's true. You need to stop. It's over, man.
Give it up.
Next.
See, there he is,
Wrap it up.
Ravi Bhaskar.
Yeah.
So instead, they painted a mural, and that's how they commemorated.
Do you have
the-
photos? I got to see this.
I
time
don't-
for a road trip. Let's go.
But I can take them when I go visit my mom next time.
Please do.
Fucking A, please.
He got really tired of being harassed by ufologists and the Air Force and everybody, so he just started working at a gasoline station, and he died in 2009 from a heart attack. On the evening of August 13, 1975, there was a veteran Air Force sergeant named Charles Moody. He was driving out into the desert in near Alamogordo. He wanted to watch a meteor shower, but instead of just seeing meteors, he saw a glowing 50-foot with 18 to 20 foot wide metallic saucer-shaped craft, which landed about 70 feet away from him, and he heard a high-pitched humming sound. He noticed a rectangular window in the craft where he could see shadows resembling human forms, and he jumped in his car and got the fuck out of there because that's what I would do if I saw that. But then his car would not start, which was weird. Then he went like paralyzed and completely numb, and as soon as his like fear started to get more intense, the thing took off. Which was weird. He went home to tell his wife, but he was shocked that he found out that it was now 3 a.m. So he had lost 2 hours.
It happens.
He didn't know what happened. He had a rash all over his body, and he went to a hypnosis therapy session where he started to remember that he was taken on board of this craft.
Oh, yeah.
He said that the heads that he saw of the beings were large and hairless, and their ears were small, eyes were larger than ours. They had a small nose and a very thin lip mouth.
That's you two.
Fuck you.
Yep.
He claimed that they weighed between 110 and 130 pounds.
That's not me.
They were wearing black clothing, except for one of them had a silver suit.
Oh,
He was the pimp.
he was the fancy one.
He was the pimp.
Yeah.
And then I guess they spoke with him through telepathy, and they told him that if he was going to be peaceful, then they would relieve him from his paralysis. So they put a rod to his back, and the paralysis went away. The being told him telepathically that it would not hurt him. They are not meant to hurt him, and they took him to a lower level of the ship. He saw this crazy machine thing. They warned him against using nuclear weapons, and they promised him a future meeting with extraterrestrials, but warned that closer contact with Earth would not be attempted for another 20 years.
What year was this?
1975.
1975. Okay.
They are way past due.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they could have showed up, but we just didn't know.
And you know, if this shit's real, how we don't know their technology. How long does it take them to get here? How close are they?
Yeah, is a year to them the same thing as us?
Is this like Star Trek shit where they're, are there, maybe they're gone. Maybe they got wiped out by some other.
That's true. The Klingons got them.
It could be.
It was the Klingons.
So there was just one more weird thing. It's real fast. There was this crazy musician guy named Jim Sullivan that wrote a whole album that was titled UFO.
I'm downloading it right now.
Okay.
Right after the OnlyFans.
So apparently after this album dropped, he drove out into the New Mexico desert and fucking disappeared. And so everyone's speculating that he was abducted by aliens because of his album. It's stupid. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. But I just thought it was an interesting.
It's interesting, but yeah, fucking stupid.
Stupid.
I wonder if the album's good.
I'm still downloading it just so I can.
Okay.
No.
Now talk about what the skeptic said.
I'll start with my favorite skeptic, Phil Klass, which sounds like a.
With a K?
With the K. Klass.
Is it FEEL?
Maybe.
You're fucking funny, aren't you?
No, he from the documentaries that I watched, he sounds like a real cunt. He was the the senior editor avionics for Space and Tech in the 50s and 60s, and he was well connected with a lot of the a lot of politicians and definitely with the media, and he definitely seemed to have a vendetta against Travis Walton and did a lot of shit to discredit him. And he without any evidence or listening to any stories, he would do everything in his power to discredit them. He even went as far to say that when Travis Walton was got some medical attention, that he had some puncture wounds right outside his elbow, and he said, well, that's obviously those are LSD injections from injecting LSD, kind of like the dude I just saw in the parking lot. So, but
obviously he's injecting LSD.
yeah, and
in his elbow,
and to say that Walton made up this story to get out of his contract that he was fucking up with the logging contract that he's behind on. How that would get him out of that contract, I don't know.
I was going to say, how would that get him out of it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he even offered one of his crew members offered him $10,000 in the 70s. $10,000 was a good lot.
That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money now.
$10,000 for him to discredit the story and and make up some stories. So I mean, skeptics, some of them have motives. Some of them just don't want to believe. Whether it's for whatever reason, maybe it goes against everything they've ever been taught or fed as far as religious beliefs or personal beliefs. So they come up with reasons why this could absolutely not be true. Could it be true?
Could be.
My answer for everything.
Maybe. I kind of feel like, and I'll tell you why I feel it this way. I feel it's sleep paralysis. I really do. And the reason why I feel that way is because of my own experience with sleep paralysis. And I've told you about this, and I know my listeners have heard it before, but when, my grandfather had passed away, and I was laying there, and I had two small, little, weird, gray-looking beings getting closer and closer to me during... and for years, I was like, I was totally visited by aliens, I think, until I heard of sleep paralysis. And once I heard about that, I was like, oh, shit.
Very disappointed.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed. I kind of wish it was, almost.
Yeah. I do think that's what a lot of scientists have said about it. That's what a lot of scientists have said, that they believe that it is sleep paralysis because you have the memory loss, you have the weird
impending doom,
hallucinations, and the fear and all of those other things that are coming up with it. There's also just this idea that some of these people may have really strong imaginations, and they go into this kind of mindset where they believe this is happening, and they do have real trauma from it. Like I said, it does show up and present as actual PTSD,
right?
But it could be more of a hyper emotional state than actual reality. I don't know.
They actually could be being abducted.
That's really interesting, though, because we really don't know shit about sleep. Are we in another dimension when we sleep?
Are we in another dimension now?
I mean, they say that.
I am. I don't know about you guys.
They say that DMT is kind of released into our brains while we're sleeping.
It is. It is. It's released when you're sleeping, and it's released when you die. which I find fascinating. So
and born, and when you're born.
Oh, I sure hope you are flooded with DMT when
And,
you're born.
you know, and I hear stories about DMT where you see these beings that, you know, talk to you and kind of like these otherworldly beings that'll tell you about the future or this and that. So, I mean,
Tell us more about DMT, Al.
no,
We don't have time. We don't have time.
we don't have time.
We got to wrap it up.
But I think that, I mean, there's just not enough known about it.
Yeah.
I just don't know enough. I don't know enough. I mean, it could be possible. I don't see why it couldn't be. I totally believe in aliens.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they would want to come down here and mutilate some cows and stick shit up my butt. But, I mean, whatever, I guess.
But at the same time, you see why people would go through these lengths to
try to tell their story.
Yeah, to try to tell a story that probably most of them believe in their own heads, whether are true or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is definitely something that we're going to have to revisit
We're gonna have to
over
come back.
and over
Yeah.
and over again, I think.
Yeah.
Tell us your abduction stories. Tell us your anal probe stories. Tell us your fire bush stories.
Please do.
Send Perseo your fire bush stories. And yeah, we want to know. We want to do another Tiny Terror, so we would love to have your input, your stories. If you've been abducted,
What do you think about it?
If you have an opinion about it, if you know somebody who's been abducted,
Right.
If you want to be interviewed by us, we'll talk to you about it. We definitely want to know more about this phenomena. I'm very skeptical about it, which is different for me.
That is weird for
I feel like
you.
Alex is more open to it than I am.
Yeah.
Which is we've kind of switched seats here.
I'm with Alex.
Yeah.
It all started with that movie with Hunted 411, man. I mean, The Hunted or Missing 411.
Yeah.
It all kind of started with that. It makes so much sense. Some of those things really do make sense. That what else could it have been?
True.
I mean, well, yeah. Anyway,
It's just weird that some of
Is it you're skeptical because you're an attention whore?
yes.
That's what I thought.
Speaking of attention whores, give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a review and a rating. We need that. Our frail egos need that.
Yeah, share
We
it.
will die if we don't have that attention. Share our episodes. Tell your friends about us. We appreciate you guys so much. Go to patreon.com/DosSpookquenos. Go to ko-fi/DosSpookquenos. Email us your creepy stories, your erotic ghost porn, whatever you want to send us to spookquenos@gmail.com or slide up into our DMs. And with that,
stay spooky.
peace.